Hey guys, welcome to Griffo's Retro Gaming with me, Alex Griffo Griffiths. And today I'm going to be doing a review on what I believe is a criminally underrated game, and that is Arx Fatalis on the original Xbox. Inspired by the Ultimate Underworld series, Arx Fatalis is a first-person role-playing game, much in the same vein as Morrowind, which I'll compare it to quite a lot within this video. So the basic premise of the story is that Arx is set in a world where the sun has died out and nothing can live. It's absolutely freezing, as you can imagine. And it's forced all the beings to cohabit underneath the world in all these caverns and stuff like that. Now, you're knocked out and you're dragged by a goblin to your prison cell. And when you wake up, you have absolutely no idea who you are, where you are, and what you're doing there. So naturally, it's up to you to try and find out all the who's, what's, and whys. Now, in your cell, if you look over to the other prison cell adjacent to yours, there's a prisoner in there who is more than happy to help. He's in pretty much the same position, so you might as well work together, right? You tell him your woes, that you haven't got a bloody Scooby-Doo who you are or what you're doing there. But he has some good news. He claims that there's a way out from your cell, as he searched through his and cannot find one. Until you found a rock and you hit some bars with it. And I don't know why I struggled with it, because it bloody highlights it in a bright blue colour. So once you've figured that out, freedom is yours, and your adventure begins. So as mentioned earlier, Arx Fatalis can draw many comparisons with Morrowind. It's very much in the same vein. You move exactly the same, the controls are more or less the same, you collect items, the inventory looks similar, you hold weapons and armour, equip them, everything like that. You also create a character. Now in Morrowind you can obviously choose different like species and stuff like that, but in Arx Fatalis you can only be human. You build up the main character by customising your main attributes: strength, intelligence, dexterity and constitution, as well as various other skills which include close or ranged combat proficiencies, technical skill for lockpicking and disarming traps. One awesome little feature as well is something that I hadn't seen before I played this game, or not that I could remember anyway, and that's the ability to cook. Now, cooking certain foods gives you energy, so it is quite an important part of the game. Now all you need to do is just set a fire using a torch, and you can put raw meat on to the fire. So you pick up along your way. I've got some ribs here, for example, there's fish, things like that. And once they're cooked after a few seconds, you can then eat and gain some energy back. But one other cool little feature is the fact that you can bake as well. So if you have all the ingredients for bread, for example, you put that onto a fire and you can see the bread rising and making. It's quite fantastic, really, considering when it was out. One important part of the game is something that modern RPG players will be familiar with, and that's stealth. Now here it tells you about how your footsteps can alert your enemies, and it makes sense because you're in an underground sort of dungeon type area and it's all made of stone, so your footsteps echo a really long way. And that's played into the game really well. Now, the sounds in the game are really good anyway. Some of the best that I've seen and heard from that generation. But you'll see here that I'm stood still, and as soon as I move, they see me, hear me, and they start to attack. It really is worth keeping to the shadows and keeping quiet, and that's the best way to stay alive, especially at these lower levels. So let's talk about the combat system in Arx Fatalis. Now, we're comparing to Morrowind, and the fighting system in Morrowind is very, very awkward. Now, In Morrowind, the fighting system uses virtual dice rolls, a lot like a tabletop RPG game like Dungeons and Dragons. Only you don't see these dice rolls, so you can stand there for ages swinging your sword at something and not hit it. And that's usually down at the lower levels. It really does take a lot away from the game. In Arx Fatalis, it uses an action-based fighting system, so it's all based on you just pressing the button. Now, it's not without its flaws. It is very, very clunky, as you can see from the footage. You can still actually see yourself hitting something, but it's not connecting and taking the hit points off. So you can hold on to the right trigger, which is the attack button, and it'll do a power attack, which is very handy in the game. As stated though, it's not the easiest to get to grips with, and it will take some getting used to. So one other cool little feature is the spellcasting, and it's something that sets the game apart from all the others. It's a really, really good idea. You have these runes, which are your spells, if you like, and it gives you a direction, so it'll say right, or up, down, right, something like that. And the idea is that you've got to press that on the D-pad on the Xbox. On the PC version, you use a mouse. But on the Xbox, like I say, you have to use the D-pad, and you have to press those buttons in a sequence. It'll draw the spell rune, and then you hit the X button, I believe, and that'll cast the spell. Now, it is really fiddly, like I say, and that's no good if you're in combat. However, what you can do, and what it allows you to do, is store up to 5 spells at any one time. So you can pre-cast these spells, up to 5, and then use them when needed. So if you're in a combat situation, there's Fireball spell, you can just type that out before you go into the battle, and have it in store, or have 4, 5 of them, and then use them all whenever you're ready. And that's a great little idea. It does add something to the game, and it is a unique feature. However, it's not the easiest to control, as you can see. So my final thoughts on the game are that if you've never played it before, it's definitely worth a look. And yes, it is a game of its time and era, but it offers an awful lot more than most. So it looks very similar to Morrowind. If you're used to Morrowind and the Elder Scrolls systems, then you'll be able to play this quite easily after a bit of getting used to the controls. The spellcasting is a strong part of it. It's unique. It's something I've not experienced in a game before. The graphics, like I say, are similar to Morrowind, but they have taken a shortcut. And that's in the form of the setting. So yes, it's set underground, and you're only really going to have stone walls and low lighting. And that's allowed them to make the game look better in certain areas. Now, from the footage, you can see that it's a very dark game. Dark in its lighting, or lack of. But if you play the PC version, you can get around this. You can make it so that it is a lot lighter. I did try messing about with the settings in the menu. However, it made it too light. So this was the best I could do it, really. So that when it was dark, it was rather dark until you put a light on, and then it was light without being too light, if that makes sense. If you're wanting to play it, my advice would be to play it on the PC, as the Xbox version is rather expensive. It's on the rare side, and it's commanding £20 in CEX at the moment. On the PC, however, the game goes for about £7-8, or you can buy it on GOG.com for £4.69, which is an absolute bargain. So I hope you've enjoyed this review. I've really enjoyed doing it. And I'd just like to say thank you for watching, and thank you for your support. I shall see you again very soon with another video.